Hey everyone, this is Brennan from RightMessage. I just want to give you a quick little video preview of the new version of RightMessage. This is something Shai and I have been working on for the last few months. We've really put a lot into this. We're really proud of what direction we're going in. And we're hoping that this video will kind of do two things. First off, it'll give you, either somebody who currently uses RightMessage or is thinking about using RightMessage, an idea of what we're about to release. But secondly, and probably more importantly, where you want to show this to you to get your feedback, to let us know that we're on the right track and to find out what holes we still need to fill. So what I thought I'd do now is I'm just going to walk you through the interface and kind of talk you through what's going on, why we're doing it this way, and so on. And you, as our board of directors, as our customers, we want to hear from you and let us know, again, if we're on the right track or if you think we need to make some changes. So what we're doing is we wanted to go back to the drawing board and think through what's great about the current version of RightMessage and what isn't so great. And we went through a lot of discussions we've had with people like you, a lot of support requests, cancellation requests, all that sort of stuff. And the things that we found that people loved about RightMessage was just how easy it was to collect information about your audience and get that information into your email database. So, the current version of RightMessage, you can just really simply set up questions and say, when these questions are answered, stick them in a ConvertKit or whatever with, this way. That's one thing you all liked. The other thing that you like is how flexible RightMessage is when it comes to conditionals. So it's really simple for you to go and visually map out and say, ask this question. And then if they answer this way, send them down this path. If they answer that way, go down this other path. Because a lot of form tools, they tend to be very linear and they'll have logic, or they'll call them logic jumps or whatever, but they tend to be really difficult to figure out how they all work together. So that's another thing that I know a lot of you like. And the third thing I would say is that we can pull in information about an existing subscriber. So if somebody is looking at one of your surveys and they're already a customer of yours because they're tagged customer, you can treat them differently. That's kind of the three big pluses that we've heard again and again from you about the current version of RightMessage. Now, the negatives usually are twofold, if you will. The first big negative, and really the negative we hear all the time, is how inflexible the editor is when it comes to making it look the way you want it to look. So with the current version of RightMessage, you can change fonts, you can change colors, but you can't really do anything beyond that. If you want to have like a crazy big drop shadow around your pop-up widget, you can't easily do that without dabbling in CSS, which is, again, something that I know many of you don't want to do. So that's one big thing. The second thing is how tricky and cumbersome it is to create a quick, say, survey in RightMessage and get it in front of your list. So typically what you do is you create a widget, create a call to action funnel for that widget. You then embed that widget on like a blank page on your website. You'd publish that page, you then test it, and then you get that final link and then email it to your list. And while it's definitely doable, it takes some time, not crazy amounts of time, but it takes some time. It's just a bit of a roadblock between like, I want information and I want to get this information in front of people to supply to me. So those were the two things we wanted to fix. So the way we're fixing that is as follows. So we thought about Keynote, we thought about PowerPoint and not spreadsheet. What do they call it? Slide deck, slide deck presentation software. That's where I'm going with this. We thought about presentation software, and we thought about how, first off, most of our customers probably use tools like PowerPoint or Keynote all the time, whether they're doing internal talks, external talks, or whatever. They have experience, or you have experience building a slide deck. So why not make RightMessage a bit like a presentation app like PowerPoint or Keynote, where you can go in and you can add images, you can add videos, you can put text here, you can put multi-column text, you can do whatever you want. And then what you can do is you can add questions or interactive elements to these screens that say something like, when this button's clicked, tag them in ConvertKit as this, or set this custom field to that, and then increment a variable to say they really like red, +1, and then move them to a different slide. So we wanted it to be kind of that experience, which we feel is pretty natural. It makes sense. This is what I want people to see. And when they click different things, this backend stuff should occur. So that's what we've built. What you'd see in front of you is the first version of this experience, this editor. So on the left-hand side, you have what's called the flow. And the flow is what you would expect. Like when somebody shows up, what do they see first? And then depending on what they do, where do they go? So this is very similar to the call to action funnel editor that you have with the current version of RightMessage, where you can add nodes and you can do splits and all that kind of stuff. So that's the flow on the left. And on the right, and really in the main window, is the look. It's what your end users would see. It's kind of a WYSIWYG, if you will, of your quiz in this case. So what we're trying to do in this example is this is a podcast survey where the idea would be you have a podcast and you want to get your listeners to tell you what they think about it. So you'd either email a link to them to the survey, or on an episode or on episodes, you would say, hey, go to mysite.com/survey and let me know what you think of this episode. So that's what we would do here. So the first screen is a welcome screen. So this is really this isn't a question or anything like that. It's just a way of greeting people. It's very similar to like welcome screens you might find in products like Typeform. And then the second question, we're finding out what kind of topics they want to hear more of, what format do they prefer. And you can see here just subtle nuances that you can't do with the current version of RightMessage. Like this is 2 columns of questions because we have 6 options, whereas this is a single column. The third question is a grid of images where you click the podcast episode or podcast you like to listen to. And the fourth is a more traditional NPS, choose one of the following 0 through 10 options. So a lot of flexibility when it comes to using the new RightMessage editor. And if you've ever used a page builder or anything like that, you're going to feel very at home. So the way that things work is you have, let me give you an example of this. So you have the surrounding layout, which is static. So every single screen in this case is going to have this microphone. It's going to have this title and so on. And then you have the screen itself, which is the highly visible part here. So with the editor, you can say, I want to edit, in this case, I'm editing the surrounding layout, and any changes I make here will then will affect, well, I've got to save this. So click save. Now when I go to any screen, it's now podcast listener survey 1, 2, 3. So you can edit the surrounding layout. Think of that if you use Keynote as like the master layout, you can make these edits really simply. And then also you can change the individual screen content. So this is what changes on a page by page, if you will, version. So the way it works is on the bottom right, you have this plus button where you can add any element you want. You can add headings, text, imagery, multiple choice answers, buttons, containers, multi-column layouts, and so on. And everything's drag and drop. So I can, move this around. I can put my questions between these 2 things and so on. And whenever you click anything, you're going to see this pop-up where you have full control over the styling of everything. So let's say we want to make on this screen, the what format do you prefer? Let's make this colored, make it a yellow color. So now we have a yellow heading here. And then you'll notice that the previous question is still white. So I've now edited this specific screen. So really simple to add, new elements. I can add an image up here. And then I can go and, upload it. We're going to soon have an upload option, but right now you just paste in the URL. But the upload is coming shortly. And yeah, it's really, really straightforward. Again, it's very similar, like adding elements in a slide deck or something like that. Where things get really fun is when you add a multiple choice question block or element, you can really simply add new options. I'm going to say, hello or something like that. And you could also map these to actions. So we want to apply a tag. Here's all my tags. Like I can, set a tag. I can set a field to something, and we're still cleaning up the interface, so don't mind the dust. But what's really nice is you can just really quickly say, when hello is clicked, I want to, apply a certain tag, and I want to also go to the next screen, or I want to set a variable. And what a variable, I won't get too deep into this, but you can say you want to have a quiz where if they answer this way, you increment the red score by 1. If they answer this, the blue score by 1. Answer that, the green score by 1. At the end of the quiz, you can say whichever score is the highest, show them that result screen. So you can do that really simply with this new version of RightMessage. So yeah, super, super easy to add these. And you also, like I said, you can, make this a 2-column layout. You can make this a single column. So you have full control over everything. Now, a nice addition is, let's say we want to have some description. Let me get rid of the hello. Let's say we want to put a few descriptions under these. So we have the title, which is interview, but you should talk to more people. Let's see, we want to put under each one some text, discussions with people, that describes a bit about what each of these buttons are. The way we do this is I've just added descriptions to each of these questions. And now if I click edit button design, now I can edit the individual UI or interface for each button. So I want to add a new text node under here. So a few kinks I'm working out. Okay, well, that's something that I must have just gotten changed. So I'm going to talk to Shai about that. But basically, you're able to add new nodes under this, and I can map that node to the description, which is done using liquid such. So, and we're going to make it really easy for you to be able to say, map this text to the title or the description or whatever else. So that's as you can see, there's a few things we're still trying to figure out, both interface wise and cleaning up. This is really just meant at the minute to be Shai and myself using it and figuring out the issues and stuff. But we really just wanted to give you a really first look at this editor. You also have the ability to look at it on different screen constraints. So I haven't set this up yet for mobile, but I could also go and set up mobile styles really simply by saying, on mobile, I don't want much padding, but on a desktop display, I want a lot of padding on the left and right. Again, really, really simple to do that. So that's what we're working toward. The idea, again, would be you have the ability really simply to set up these different screens, these different stages, and then people can move through them. And in the flow, you're going to be able to set up and say, if they answer question 1 in a certain way, go down this path or that path, or whatever you want. And it's going to be, it's really, really elegant. And if you've used the current version of RightMessage, you're going to feel very at home with that. But the big thing, and the thing I'm personally most excited about, is just how much, you can make this look like anything you want. You have full control over backgrounds, padding, shadows, margins, every CSS element you're going to have visual, authority for. You can change anything you want really, really simply. So finally, one thing I want to mention is, we have, you have this flow. This is, again, a very linear flow where we're just asking a few different stock questions. All this data would then get pushed up to the underlying email database for this subscriber. In terms of getting it in front of people, we want to make that super easy. So we are going to have a way for you to embed this on your website. So that's basically the way we're doing it now, where you can, have a blank page on your site and embed this full screen or whatever else. But to make it really simple for you, we're going to have a hosted option, which is something we don't have at the minute. So the idea would be you can click publish, which we don't have a publish button yet, but we will. And then we're going to give you a URL. And you can just email that URL to your list or mention it on a podcast or set up a redirect on your site to it. And what's really nice about this is this URL is going to be smart enough to know, oh, this person's clicking through from a ConvertKit email campaign. We know who this is. We know they're tagged customer. We know they're tagged podcast listener or whatever you're doing. And then you're going to be able to use that to change the experience for them. So maybe you want to welcome them and say, hey, loyal customer, thanks for listening to our podcast. blah, 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 whereas somebody else wouldn't get that kind of welcome treatment. So that's what we're doing. That's what we, building this whole page editor Keynote PowerPoint thing has been a ton of work. And as you can see, there's still a bit of dust scattered around that we're cleaning up as we go. But we're really optimistic that this is going to make it so much easier for you to quickly deploy things like, Black Friday surveys before you send your, sales emails, or new subscriber onboarding surveys to find out why they joined your list, or just like quarterly things you send in an automated way to your email list to find out what you should be writing more about, or whatever else. So we're really excited about this. We think you're going to love it. And please, if you have any feedback based on what I showed you, barring some of the bugs that I uncovered, but any feedback about, have you thought about doing it this way or that way or whatever else, please let us know. We should have this out to you within a matter of weeks now. We're almost ready. There's just a few, as you saw, kinks we're still working out, but we'll be letting you know once it's live. And yeah, we can't wait to see what you do with this.